girl in chains. The war was over. At least that's what the humans thought. Soldier Jack Carter walked through the remains of a destroyed alien base on a dark, cold planet. Smoke still rose from the broken buildings. Ash covered everything, like snow. His boots made soft, crunching sounds on the ground. Jack was tired. He had seen too much fighting, too much death. He just wanted to go home. But before leaving, he had to make sure everything was clear. That was his job. He moved carefully, his weapon ready. As he passed a broken wall, he heard something, a soft sound, like a whisper, or a cry. He stopped. There it was again. A small voice, like someone in pain. He followed the sound, past broken machines and burnt alien flags. Then he saw it, a metal cage, half hidden behind rubble. Inside the cage was a girl. She was not human. Her skin was light blue, her eyes large and glowing softly. Her arms were thin, and her silver hair was dirty and tangled. Chains held her wrists and ankles. She looked weak, cold, and afraid. She was shaking. Jack froze. Was she dangerous? A trap? But then he looked closer. Her clothes were torn. Her feet were bare. She looked more like a prisoner than a soldier. She looked at him with wide eyes, not angry, not hateful, but scared. Very scared. Jack lowered his weapon slowly. "It's okay," he said, even though she probably didn't understand. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't move. Jack looked around. No guards, no signs of anyone alive. Just this poor alien girl, locked up like an animal. He took off his jacket and pulled out a small emergency blanket. It was thin but warm, made to keep body heat in. He opened the cage door slowly, careful not to scare her. The girl didn't move. He stepped closer and gently placed the blanket around her shoulders. That's when something strange happened. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears. Then, without warning, she fell forward onto her knees. Her hands pulled together in front of her chest, as if praying. She began to speak in her own language. The words were soft, shaky, but full of emotion. Jack couldn't understand a single word, but her tone, it felt like gratitude or hope. She looked up at him again, and for a second, she smiled. Jack stood there confused and speechless. Why would a simple blanket cause such a strong reaction? Who was she? And why was she locked up like this? He helped her stand. She was weak. Her legs shook as she tried to walk. Jack had to support her. She leaned against him, her body cold and light. They needed to get out of here. If other soldiers found her, they might think she was dangerous. They might kill her. Jack didn't know why, but something in his heart told him he had to protect her. He couldn't explain it. It wasn't about orders. It wasn't about duty. It was something deeper. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, like he was her only hope. As they moved through the ruins, Jack kept his eyes open. He found a small underground storage room. It was dark but safe for now. He laid her down gently. She held the blanket tight around her shoulders. Jack gave her water. She drank slowly, watching him the whole time. Then she pointed at his jacket. Jack looked down. His military patch showed the symbol of Earth. She reached out and touched it softly. Then she pointed to herself, and then to him. Was she trying to say something? She touched her heart, then his chest. Jack didn't understand, but her eyes, they were full of something he hadn't seen in a long time. Trust. He sat down across from her, confused. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. She looked at him. Then slowly, she spoke one word in a heavy, broken voice. "Arya." Her voice was soft, full of pain. Jack stared at her. So, she could speak. At least a little. "Arya," he repeated. She nodded. Then her eyes filled with fear again. She pulled the blanket closer and looked at the ceiling, like she was waiting for something bad to happen. Jack looked up too. What was she afraid of? Who had locked her up, and why? Suddenly, he realized something. This was only the beginning. A name, not spoken. The shelter was small, cold, and dark, but it was safe, for now. Jack sat near the door watching the girl. Aria. That was the name. She gave him the night before. She hadn't spoken again since then. She sat in the corner wrapped in the same blanket, silent like a ghost. Her glowing eyes moved slowly, watching him with curiosity and fear. He gave her food, dry rations from his pack. She didn't touch them at first. She only stared. Jack sighed and took a bite himself. After a moment, she followed. She copied, his movements slow, careful, like a child learning. She was hungry, that much was clear. He studied her as she ate. She was not like the other aliens he had seen during the war. Her skin was smooth, almost shining in the dim light. Her hair, now cleaner, was silver white and soft. Her ears were pointed, and her face was gentle. Not a soldier, not a fighter. So, why was she locked up? Jack's communicator was dead. No contact with the base, no orders. He was alone. And now he was hiding an alien girl the army might consider a threat. But something in his gut told him Aria was not the enemy. When she finished eating, she looked at him again. This time she seemed a little more relaxed. Her hands were no longer shaking. Jack spoke softly. Aria, can you understand me? She didn't answer. He tried again. I'm Jack. He pointed to himself. Jack. Then to her. Aria, she blinked, then nodded slowly. J-J. K. Jack smiled. Close enough. She gave a small smile too, then looked around the room. Her eyes fell on Jack's jacket lying beside him. The patch on his sleeve, the Earth military symbol, caught her attention. She moved slowly toward it. Jack didn't stop her. She picked it up carefully, her fingers brushing over the symbol. Then something strange happened. Aria froze. Her eyes widened in shock, and she backed away, dropping the jacket. Her breathing became fast. Jack stood up, worried. What? What is it? Aria pointed at the patch, then drew a shape in the air like a triangle with a line through it. Her hands moved fast, making symbols Jack didn't understand. She spoke in her language again, faster, louder, scared. Jack raised his hands. It's okay. I don't understand, but I'm not going to hurt you. Aria looked at him, trembling. Then she slowly walked to the wall and with her finger drew the same shape again. It was a symbol, a mark. Jack stared at it. It looked familiar. He had seen it once in a secret military report. It was the sign of an ancient alien race. The Sarathi, a species the humans feared. Not because they were enemies, but because they were powerful. Too powerful. Most believed they were extinct. Destroyed long ago in the first great war between the stars. Jack looked back at Aria. Could she be one of them? She sat down again, hugging her knees. Jack sat across from her. He spoke gently. Are you Sarathi? She looked up, her face pale. Then she whispered one word. Yes. Jack felt a chill down his spine. If she was telling the truth. Then he wasn't just hiding an alien girl. He was hiding a member of one of the most powerful races in the galaxy. A race that was supposed to be gone. That explained the chains. That explained the fear in her eyes. Someone didn't want her to be found. Jack leaned forward. Why were you locked up? She didn't answer. Who did this to you? Still silence. Then, in a voice so quiet he almost didn't hear, she said, My people. They fear me. Jack's heart pounded. She wasn't a prisoner of humans. She was a prisoner of her own kind. Why? What was she hiding? He stood up and looked out the small window. The sky was getting darker. They couldn't stay here long. Sooner or later, someone would come looking, for him or for her. Jack turned back to Arya. He had a choice. He could leave her here, follow orders, report what he found, or he could protect her, trust her. He looked into her eyes. She didn't beg. She didn't speak. But her eyes said everything. Don't leave me. Jack picked up his bag and offered his hand. Come on. We can't stay. Arya hesitated. Then she reached out and took his hand. The fire and the chase. Smoke rose from the trees. Jack saw it first through the cracked window of the old shelter. A thick black column twisting into the sky. His heart stopped. Someone was here. He turned to Arya. She was sitting on the ground. Still weak, the blanket wrapped tightly around her. Her silver hair glowed faintly in the dim light. We have to go, Jack said quickly. She didn't ask why. She felt it too. The danger. They moved fast. Jack helped her up and grabbed his gear. They slipped out the back of the shelter and into the trees. The air smelled of ash again, fresh ash. Something was burning nearby. Jack didn't know who was coming, human patrols, alien soldiers, or something worse. But he knew one thing. If they found Arya, she was dead. They ran through the forest. Arya was faster now, stronger than before. The food and rest had helped her. But she still limped slightly, and Jack stayed close. Suddenly, behind them, a blast. The shelter exploded in fire. Jack grabbed Arya and pulled her to the ground as a wave of heat hit them. Pieces of metal flew through the air. A second too late, and they would have been burned alive. Arya looked back, her eyes wide with fear. They tracked us, Jack said. We have to keep moving. They ran again, deeper into the forest. Jack's mind raced. Who had done this? Humans weren't supposed to know about Arya. He hadn't told anyone, and Arya was already a secret to her own people. So who wanted her, dead so badly? As they moved through the woods, the sounds of footsteps followed. Someone was chasing them. Suddenly a shot rang out. A tree trunk near Jack exploded in splinters. He grabbed Arya's hand and pulled her behind a fallen log. They were surrounded. Jack readied his weapon, heart pounding. Then, silence. Too quiet. Then movement. Figures in dark armor stepped out from the trees. 3 of them. Their helmets were smooth, glowing red. Not human soldiers. Hunters. Arya gasped. Jack saw the terror in her face. She knew them. He fired. One went down, sparks flying from his armor. The others spread out. Jack ducked behind the log, reloading. Then he saw it. Arya standing up. Get down, Jack shouted. But she didn't listen. The air around her began to change. It shimmered, like heat rising from a road. Her hair lifted slightly, though there was no wind. Then her eyes glowed bright white. The hunters froze. Arya lifted her hand slowly. Her fingers opened. Suddenly, a burst of energy exploded from her body in a circle of light. The hunters were thrown back like dolls, crashing into the trees. Their armor sparked, cracked, and fell silent. Then, silence again. Arya dropped too, her knees gasping. Jack rushed to her side. Arya, are you okay? She looked at him with tired eyes. I didn't want to. It's okay, Jack said. You saved us. But she didn't look happy. She looked scared. Not of the hunters, but of herself. Jack helped her stand. Again. You have powers, he said. She nodded slowly. They gave me this, but it hurts. He didn't understand. They? My people, she whispered. They made me like this. A weapon. Something they could use. But when I didn't want to kill, they locked me away. Jack was silent. He looked back at the bodies of the hunters. They weren't moving. Why are they after you? He asked. Because I know the truth, Arya said. And they're afraid. Jack didn't ask what truth. Not yet. He looked at the smoke behind them. More would come. Now they knew she was alive. They had to stay ahead. He looked at Arya. Can you walk? She nodded. They kept moving through the forest. As they walked, Jack glanced at her. She didn't speak again, but he could see her thoughts behind her eyes. She had power, she had secrets, and she had enemies. But for some reason, she trusted him. And Jack made a silent promise to himself. He would not let anyone take her again. Whatever Arya was, whatever she was hiding, he was going to find out, and he was going to protect her. The secret code. The forest was quiet now, too quiet. Jack and Arya had walked for hours after the attack. The sun on this strange planet never fully rose, just a dim red glow through the gray sky. They finally found a place to rest, an old bunker half buried in the ground covered in moss and vines. Inside it was dusty but dry, safe for now. Jack placed a few cans of food on the floor and lit a small lamp. Arya sat near the wall, her knees pulled close to her chest. Her eyes were heavy, but she was awake. Jack sat across from her. "I think we need to talk," he said. She looked at him but said nothing. "I saw what you did back there. That energy, it came from you." Arya looked down. "I don't know how," Jack continued, "but you're not just some alien girl. You're something more." After a pause, she spoke softly. "I didn't ask for this." Her voice shook. "They changed me when I was a child, injected something into my body, said it was for peace, but they turned me into a weapon." Jack frowned. "Who? Your people?" She nodded. "The High Order, my own leaders. They said I was special and born from a rare bloodline. They wanted to use me to end the war, but not with words, with destruction." Jack's jaw tightened. "So when you refused, they locked you up?" "Yes," she whispered. "They said I was broken, useless." Jack felt anger rise in his chest. "You're not broken." Arya looked up, surprised. "You're brave," he said. "You saved me. Twice." For the first time, a small smile touched her lips. Then she looked over at the corner of the room. Something had caught her eye. A broken machine. It was an old human comm device, rusted, half dead, left behind from a war long ago. Arya crawled toward it. Jack watched, confused. She touched the wires gently, almost like they were alive. Then she began pulling them apart and reconnecting them, with speed and skill Jack didn't expect. "You know how to fix that?" he asked. Arya didn't answer. She was focused. She opened a small metal panel and reached into her cloak. From a hidden pocket, she pulled out a small glowing crystal. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "What is that?" Jack asked, surprised. "Memory core," she said. She slid it into the machine. The comm device lit up, blinking green. Jack stood up in shock. "That thing hasn't worked in years." Arya's fingers moved fast, tapping buttons in a strange rhythm. Then she stopped and turned to Jack. "It's sending a signal," she said. "Encrypted." Jack frowned. "To who?" "Not to them," she said quickly. "To the hidden network. A secret resistance. They might help us." Jack didn't know if he should trust it, but he saw something in her eyes. Hope. Suddenly, a new screen opened on the device. Strange symbols ran across it, alien language, but mixed with human code. Jack squinted. "What is this?" Arya pointed. "This is the truth I told you about." She tapped the screen again. "This is proof. My people made a deal with human leaders, a secret agreement. Use me as a weapon to destroy one enemy world, then share control of the galaxy." Jack's face went pale. "That's insane. No one on Earth would..." She nodded. "Not all humans, just some. The ones who want power more than peace." Jack's hands curled into fists. "Why you? Why not a bomb?" "Because they needed someone they could control," she said. "Someone with ancient blood and power." She looked away. "But I ran before they could finish their plan. That's when they locked me in chains." Jack paced the room, thinking, if this information was true and it got out, it could start a new war, or stop one. We have to get this to someone we trust, he said. Someone who can help us. Arya nodded. But first, we need to reach the beacon tower. From there, we can send the message to the galaxy. Jack checked his weapon. Then we move at dawn. Arya looked at him. Why are you helping me? Jack paused. Then he smiled. Because I gave you a blanket, and you gave me a reason. She looked confused. To fight again, Jack said. But this time, for the right thing. The battle of trust. The path to the beacon tower was not easy. Jack and Arya moved carefully through the cold, rocky valley. The air was thin, and the sky was dark. Strange lights flickered in the clouds, like silent storms. Jack checked his scanner. We're getting close, maybe 2 more hours. Arya walked beside him, quiet but alert. Her steps were faster now, stronger. The energy inside her made her heal quicker than any human. But Jack also noticed something else. She was growing weaker. Her hands sometimes shook when she thought he wasn't looking, and her breathing grew heavy after using her powers even for a few seconds. Jack stopped. We need to rest. Arya shook her head. No, they'll catch us if we stop. Jack looked around. The rocks offered little cover, but there was a cave up ahead. We'll stop there for just a few minutes, he said. You're not well. Reluctantly, she agreed. Inside the cave, Jack lit a small lamp. Arya sat near the wall and wrapped herself in the blanket again. It had become more than just cloth, it was her comfort, her shield. Jack opened a food pack and handed it to her. As they ate, Arya spoke softly. I feel strange. Jack looked at her. What do you mean? My power. It's growing. But it hurts more now. Every time I use it, it burns. Jack frowned. Can't you stop using it? She shook her head. If I don't use it, I die faster. He stared at her. What? She took a deep breath. The energy inside me is alive. It's not natural. If I don't release it often, it eats me from the inside. Jack was silent. Now he understood why she looked weaker each day. She was running out of time. Before he could speak, the sound of footsteps echoed through the cave. Jack jumped to his feet, weapon ready. Shadows moved at the entrance. Then a voice called out. Jack Carter, lower your weapon. It was a human voice. Jack stared. A group of Earth soldiers entered the cave. Their armor was marked with Earth's symbol, but darker, modified. Special forces. Arya stood up quickly, afraid. The lead soldier stepped forward. His face was calm but cold. You're holding an alien fugitive, Jack. Turn her over. Now. Jack aimed his weapon. She's not a fugitive. She's a prisoner, used and betrayed. I'm not handing her over. The soldier didn't blink. She's a threat, a living weapon. Give her to us and you walk away free. Arya grabbed Jack's arm. Her voice trembled. Don't. Jack looked at her. This was it. He could give her up. Save himself. Return to his old life. Or he could fight. For her. For the truth. Jack turned back to the soldiers. No. The soldiers' eyes narrowed. Then you've chosen death. They opened fire. Jack pushed Arya down and fired back. The cave echoed with blasts. Sparks flew from the walls. Jack hit one of the soldiers, but more poured in. Then Arya screamed. The energy inside her exploded again, a wave of white light that threw the soldiers backward. But this time, she didn't stand back up. She collapsed. Jack rushed to her side. Her face was pale. Her skin flickered like a dying star. No, 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 he whispered. Her eyes opened slowly. I can't stop it much longer. Jack held her tight. He looked at the soldiers. Some were getting back up. He had one last grenade. He threw it at the entrance. Boom. The rocks fell, blocking the path. The cave shook. It wouldn't hold them for long. Jack looked down at Arya. We have to move. You can't give up now. She tried to speak, but her lips barely moved. I'm sorry. He shook his head. Don't be. You trusted me, and now I'm trusting you. He picked her up gently, holding her close. Then he whispered, We'll reach the tower. I don't care what it takes, I'm not losing you. As he carried her out of the back tunnel, the light behind them faded. The battle wasn't over, but now it was personal. The lost air, the wind howled across the cliffs as Jack climbed the final path to the beacon tower. He was carrying Arya in his arms. Her body was warm but weak. Her energy flickered like a dying flame. She didn't speak anymore, just rested her head on his chest, breathing slow and shallow. Jack's legs burned with each step. The tower stood tall above them, an ancient alien structure made of black stone and glowing blue lines. It looked more like a temple than a machine. He had never seen anything like it, but Arya had. Her eyes opened weakly when they reached the top. This is it, she whispered, the place where truth begins. Jack pushed open the heavy doors. Inside it was silent. The walls hummed with soft energy. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing faintly. As they stepped into the main chamber, a circle of light appeared. On the floor, Jack laid Arya gently in the center. The light surrounded her and began to scan her body. Arya's eyes closed. She was barely conscious. Then the tower spoke. A voice, soft, ancient, powerful, echoed through the room. Heir of the Sarathi line. Identity confirmed. Welcome, Arya Saren. Jack's eyes widened. Heir? The light around her grew brighter. The walls lit up. A hidden panel opened nearby, revealing a large round screen filled with star maps and data. Jack stepped back, shocked. This wasn't just a signal tower. This was a control center. More symbols appeared. Messages, warnings. One of them translated automatically into English. Lineage detected, diplomatic bloodline, royal protocol unlocked. Jack stared at Arya. She wasn't just a prisoner, not just a living weapon. She was royalty. A lost princess from one of the most powerful races in the galaxy. Suddenly Arya spoke, soft but clear. This tower is my family's gift to the galaxy. A place of peace before the wars. Jack knelt beside her. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't remember everything, she whispered. Not until now. The experiments. The pain. It blocked my mind. Jack nodded slowly. It all made sense now. Why she was hunted. Why she was feared. She had the power to unite galaxies or destroy them. And someone didn't want peace. The tower showed more images. A secret plan between corrupt human leaders and alien officials. They had used Arya's DNA to create a new weapon, one that only she could control. But she had escaped before they could finish it. And now the truth was ready to be sent out. Jack looked at the control panel. Can we broadcast this to everyone? Arya nodded weakly. Yes, but it needs my full energy. Jack looked at her, afraid. If you give that much, will you survive? She didn't answer. Then she took his hand. You gave me warmth when I had nothing. You saw me, not as a tool in her, but as a person. Jack's eyes burned. I didn't save you to lose you. She smiled gently. Maybe I was never meant to survive, but I can still make it count. Her body floated slightly as the energy rose around her. The tower glowed brighter and brighter. Then, a beam of light shot into the sky. A message of truth, sent across galaxies. Every ship, every planet, every leader who received it would know. The war was built on lies. The weapon was real, and the heir had spoken. As the light faded, Arya collapsed back into Jack's arms. He held her tightly. Arya. She opened her eyes slowly. It's done. Jack looked up at the stars through the tower's ceiling. Somewhere out there, people were listening. Maybe, just maybe, the truth would change something. Then, footsteps. He turned quickly. Soldiers. But not the same ones from before. This time they didn't raise their weapons. A tall alien woman stepped forward. Her armor was royal blue, her eyes kind. She bowed deeply to Arya. My princess, we received your signal. The true Sarathi stand with you. Jack stood protectively in front of Arya. The woman smiled. And you, human, are now part of something much bigger. Arya reached for Jack's hand and whispered, "Stay with me." He nodded without hesitation. "I'm not going anywhere." The blanket and the crown. The sky above the beacon tower was no longer dark. Bright lights filled the heavens, ships arriving from across the galaxy. Some came in fear, others in hope, but all came because of the signal Arya had sent. The truth had reached them. Inside the tower, Jack sat beside Arya. Her head rested on his shoulder. She looked tired, but alive. The energy that nearly killed her was now calm. The tower had absorbed most of it, helping her survive. Jack still held the old blanket he had given her on the first day. It was torn, dirty, and burned at the edges. But she had never let it go. It had become more than just a piece of cloth. It was a memory of kindness, of trust, of a choice that changed everything. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. The doors opened. Leaders entered, alien and human. Some looked confused, others looked ashamed. But they all came to listen. Arya stood up slowly. Jack offered her the blanket. She took it, wrapped it gently around her shoulders, and walked forward with quiet strength. She stood at the center of the chamber. Light surrounded her. She was glowing again, but not with power, with purpose. "I am Arya Saran," she said, her voice calm and strong, heir to the Sarathi bloodline, victim of war, survivor of lies. The room was silent. "I was made into a weapon," she continued, "but I chose not to destroy. I chose to live." She looked at Jack. "I chose to trust a human who gave me nothing but a blanket." Jack felt a lump in his throat. Arya turned, back to the leaders. "The war between us was built on fear, on secrets. But the truth is out now. You can't hide it anymore." One of the alien commanders stood. "And what do you ask for, princess?" Arya's eyes softened. "Not a throne. Not revenge, I ask for peace." Another voice, this time a human general. "And if we refuse?" Jack stepped forward. "Then you'll prove that the war was never about protection. It was about control." The general looked at him, then sat down in silence. The room remained, still for a moment longer. Then the Sarathi commander stepped forward and removed her helmet. She knelt before Arya. Long live the true heir. One by one the others followed, kneeling not in fear, but in respect. Jack stood at Arya's side as she slowly lowered herself onto a circular stone seat, the traditional seat of balance, once used by her ancestors to bring peace between galaxies. The blanket was still around her shoulders. It didn't match the royal setting, but it was perfect, because it reminded everyone of how it started, not with war, not with power, but with a small act of kindness, a human giving an alien girl a simple gift. Later, as the leaders left and the stars shined brighter above, Jack and Arya stood alone on the tower's balcony. "You should rest," he said. Arya smiled. "You still worry too much." He shrugged. "Old habit." She looked at the stars. "Do you think they'll listen?" she asked. Jack nodded. "They already are." She leaned against him. "I thought I was made to destroy," she whispered. "You were made to choose," Jack said. "And you chose peace." She looked at him. "You stayed, even when I was dangerous." "I saw you," he replied. "Not just your power. I saw the girl behind it." They stood in silence for a while. Then Arya laughed softly. "Do you remember the first thing you gave me?" Jack grinned. "That blanket?" She nodded. "It saved my life." He looked at her with warm eyes. "No, you saved mine." Far away, the galaxy began to change. But on that tower, under the stars, a human and an alien stood side by side, and the blanket, the simple torn blanket, it became a symbol, not of war, but of the day peace began.